Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Right Wellness Chat. I'm so excited you're here today. And this is fun for me because this is a recent God strategy that was downloaded to me when I was in all the feels. So have you ever felt just so emotional? I'm assuming you just said yes, because we are women and emotions are normal and it is okay to be emotional. But we want to live in emotional wellness, in wholeness, in peace, right? That's why we're here, to learn these courageous things we can do in our whole body, and that includes emotional wellness. So here we go, another super practical episode to help you and to live in whole body wellness. Let's get started. One word people have used to describe me most of my life is emotional. That isn't a stretch because, yes, I am a female. But when I was described as being so emotional, so moody, especially as a teenager and in young adulthood when puberty hormones were just strong, and I just accepted it as me, that I was just going to be extra emotional. And let's not mention how I was practically giving myself whiplash once a month because of these said emotions. This continued for years, and not where I'm impossible to live with, but just I used it as a crutch month after month. Oh, I'm getting my period. Or, oh, that's why that happened. Sorry, it's my period. Sorry, it's that week. But something changed all of that this year, and I can finally say I am over those PMS symptoms. I started taking intuitive nutrition that is hormone and soy isoflavone free to find balance and empower my hormones naturally. It's patent pending, unlike anything else, and instead of interfering with natural hormone balance, the menstrual and menopausal formulas deliver key nutrients and potent botanicals to support the female body in every phase and every cycle. Hormones are chemical messengers telling your body vital information. If you have heavy periods, cramping, mood swings, low libido, bloating, hot flashes, night sweats, brain fog, acne, and more, your messengers might need additional support so you can feel your best. Andrea says, because I'm feeling my best, I'm also momming my best now. Michelle says, now all my days are good days. I don't need to blame my hormones anymore. It's just me. Take the fun quiz in the show notes to see if your hormones are telling you that they really need to be balanced. Also, you can find a ton more information at the link in the show notes. Hey, mama friend. Do you have a full, blessed life that is so overwhelming? Do you want to live well and honor your temple, but just don't even know where to start? Motherhood is so stressful. You just need more peace, am I right? Hey, I'm Shan, daughter of the king, wife, mother to 4, RN, wellness coach, and I am so happy you're here on the Right Wellness Chat. I can honestly say I have been there. I know what it's like to want to live well, but completely overwhelmed and about to lose it with my very blessed full life. I got to the point where enough was enough and I tracked my way to whole body wellness and so much peace. Want to learn how I did it? I will break it all down in simple, tactical solutions, share intentional living strategies, and pour a heavy dose of encouragement to chase Jesus, the Prince of Peace. Come on, we got this, mama. One baby step of courage at a time. Go heat up that coffee for the 3rd time and turn your listening ears on. Let's chat. Okay, friends, I am super excited to share this God strategy with you today. I have shared before how we need to go to God with our emotions. We actually just talked about it on the last episode when we were reflecting on Mia's testimony. So healthy emotional wellness, being one of the 8 areas, is one where we are constantly self-reflecting and noticing what are our feelings and emotions telling us. 24/7, right? I know I'm not the only one with a ton of feelings. Actually, that is why we are talking about this today. A few weeks ago, a situation came up that made me very emotional. It involved others, and I seemed to be more emotional than these friends about it. It led me to question whether these emotions were appropriate. Like, why? Why do I feel this and others don't? Why am I so emotional? As a teen, I was often described as emotional and moody. I didn't like it. Actually created a senior scrapbook in English class my senior year, and we were to ask all our closest people 3 words to describe us. Every single person I asked, I don't know how many, maybe 10, all described me in one of the 3 words as emotional. At that time, I did not like it. I felt like it was a negative thing. And I had this perspective or viewpoint that I couldn't control it. It was out of control. Oh, and of course, once a month, it was really out of control. Oh, and side note, that has been the case until this year. I have always felt out of control emotionally that 1 week a month, except for this year. It finally stopped. I started taking natural, intuitive nutrition to support my hormones that I actually shared in the ad at the top of this episode. It has fully supported not only my hormones, but my emotional wellness. It feels amazing to know that what you are feeling is not just because it's this crazy week of the month, but because it's actually you. It's actually me. These are my true emotions. It has been life-changing for myself and many others. You can see the show notes or message me on IG at the Shan Right for more information. I would love to share it with you. Okay, back to what I was saying. Your feelings are messengers. They are telling you something. Your feelings are saying, hey, I'm feeling this for a reason. And then you have to find out, use your mental wellness, use self-reflection, use prayer, spiritual wellness, and dig deep and find out what they are saying. Feelings are allowed to be messengers and are welcomed in that way, but definitely not welcomed to drive. They are not allowed to be in charge. Obviously, emotions are good. I actually heard someone say, I was talking about this and they said, I think being emotional is a good thing. I like that I feel a lot. And yes, that is true. But is our emotional wellness healthy? Do we have peace in our emotions? Are we finding wholeness in Jesus through our emotions? That's what I really want to get at. That's the message that I want to try and articulate to you, that our emotional wellness is part of our whole being, leading us to peace. If the emotions are just there, causing these crazy moments of being out of control or in a pity party or, eating your feelings or just sitting in all the feels for no reason and not getting anywhere on the other side of it, then that is unhealthy and that's not serving you. That's not serving your whole being. I actually heard one of my pastors say that when you cry, when you feel emotions and you cry at something, to take notice, because that's telling you something. It's telling you that it hit a chord in your heart and you have a passion there or you have sensitivity there, and to lean into it and find out what it means, not just say, oh, I cried at that commercial, and move on. Actually, why did you cry at that? Why did you cry at that movie? Why did you cry at that testimony? Why did you cry when someone told you that story? You got emotional for a reason, so we need to find out what that message, that feeling as a messenger is actually saying. Okay, so this situation that happened a few weeks ago, I went to God, right? I went to God about it and I asked, God, is this appropriate? Why do I feel this? Why can't I be like my friends in this situation and not be so emotionally charged? It was almost like they didn't feel anything and I felt so much. And what he said back was absolutely amazing. So the number one thing you do when you have emotions is to go to God. He made you. He made these emotions. So you are to ask him why. Okay? And that's exactly what he reminded me of. I made you. I made you with these emotions for a reason and for a purpose. He reminded me I wasn't that person I was comparing myself to, right? Where we lose confidence when we compare, and that he made me uniquely me, and he uses all things for his glory, Romans 8:28. And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So every way that we are made and everything that he put inside of us is for a reason. He doesn't make accidents. He doesn't make mess ups. We are each and every single one of us is a masterpiece. God told me I made you this way on purpose, and then he told me a strategy to use it for his purpose. I was sitting there in all the feels, and he said, yes, this is how I wanted you to feel. So you could come to me and ask, and now I can give you the strategy for the big picture. How awesome is God? I mean, I just love him. It has nothing to do with the situation that I was in. It was the big picture he wanted to show me. It was the strategy that he wanted for my whole purpose and my whole wellness. It's the strategy for my life purpose right now. Obviously, you know, podcasting is what he's called me into right now, and I'm loving it. And he gave me the premise of my podcast to share testimonies, which are huge. But until this prayer conversation, he hasn't given me this whole new strategy and vision for the pod. He said, I'm giving you the strategy because I want you to share your emotions. I gave you a podcast to share words. And daughter, this is what I did for you. I poured out my emotions for you. My compassion was poured out on the cross for you. My emotions had all the purpose behind them for you, the salvation of the world. You, daughter, have compassion and empathy and all the feels all the time from me. You are a part of me. I gave them to you. Now, go use them wisely. Put my purpose behind them. Love my people. The second greatest commandment. The first is love the Lord your God. The second is love his people. So he makes us uniquely special to do that great work. And that's what Mia did. Remember her quote, as my heart broke further, God extended the vision in places I couldn't even have taken it. He helps us use what we've been given for his purpose of loving him and loving his people. Actually, this morning, I was in the Word and I read something that I have to share. So it comes from, it's in several of the Gospels, but in Mark 14:33. This is Jesus, and he's in Gethsemane at the garden right before his death, right before he poured all of himself out on the cross for us. He took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. He said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." He said to them, "Stay here and keep watch." Guys, don't you see? He was so emotional. He was in so much trouble and distress. He didn't know what else to do except go to God. That is what he did. He went and prayed. And so he went and prayed and fell on the ground and cried out to God, "Take this cup from me." But that's what he did. His soul was so overwhelmed. That's where your emotions are. And he so overwhelmed to the point of death. I don't know if you've been there, but there are those times when we have so much feeling, so many emotions that we feel we can't go on. The place you can go on to is to God. He knows. He knows. He was there. He had those feelings. He had those feelings to death. And then he died. He died for those feelings that he has for you. He loves you so much. Love is the greatest feeling and emotion, the greatest in the world. And God is love. So he took his love, his emotions, his feelings, and he poured them out on the cross for you. So in this prayer conversation with God, he made it very clear to me that I am to be very vulnerable and share my emotions openly with you, my listener friend. And this is why I'm sharing this strategy with you today. It is for you. Brene Brown says, you can't get to courage, we love that word, without walking through vulnerability. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to be vulnerable. I am going to share my emotions so that I can pass courage to you. I can encourage you in that same conversation, that same chat. I can be encouraging you and passing my courage that I'm taking on to you. I will be sharing my real and raw to help you. It is not to pour my guts out, but it's actually to help you. Because again, in this conversation, God reminded me that I am not the only one who has strong emotions. In fact, a lot of women have strong emotions and they don't always have the healthiest coping strategies, or they let them drive the car, you know that, and not be the passengers, or they just don't know how to deal with them. And so God said, Shannon, I will give you the wisdom on how to deal with them, and I want you to then share it. So my first step is to every time I feel an emotion, to go to God and ask him, what is the message this feeling is saying to me? God, what do I do with this? And then once he gives me the wisdom, I share it with you. Okay, so this isn't going to be easy. It's actually courage. It is straight courage. It is walking forward in the face of fear. And I am smiling, not because I want to do this, but I want to obey God with my whole heart. I want to obey him with my whole life. And I know this is what he's asking me to do. I didn't want to start a podcast, but he knows what he's going to do with it. And so I'm trusting him and giving it to him. And just if he's saying, okay, now on your podcast that I gave you, I want you to share your emotions, then that's what I have to do. I have to do that next step. So now I'm sharing testimonies and I'm sharing emotions. I'm sharing all of whole body wellness, but I'm going to highlight this emotional wellness. And it's called the Right Wellness Chat because that's what women like to do, right? We like to talk about our feelings. We like to talk about what's on our heart. And that's what we're going to do. So I will share my emotions here and I'll be chatting to you. And then I would love if you chatted back with me. You can do that a few places. You can do that on Instagram at the Shan Wright in my DMs, always open. You can do it in our Facebook group. It's called Encourage Wellness Right Community. You can be a part of that group, and together in a group, we can chat with each other and encourage each other in our emotions and our whole body wellness. So we will still continue to talk about all the different wellness areas, but emotional wellness will be huge from here on out. And I'm really not sure all the places God will take this strategy of his, but I will keep tuning into him, tuning to the flow of the Holy Spirit, and share what I know and feel, right? All the feels. Okay, as I walk out my identity, my true kingdom identity on this podcast, this is what I will do based off of who God says I am. And when others say I'm emotional and moody as a teen and too much feeler as an adult, God says he made me compassionate to care well for others. And that's a belief card and truth statement right there. Have you made your belief cards yet? If not, you've got to go back and listen to Identity Part 2, and make those belief cards, because that is how you can live out your purpose through your true kingdom identity. And you only get that kingdom identity through a conversation with God. You have to go to him, find the truth of what he says about you, uniquely you, and write it down and say it to yourself every day. You can see how my true identity played out in this situation I was talking about earlier, as my identity was to be emotional. I am emotional. And the other women that I was with are not made like me. They are not exactly like me. We are unique. We are incomparable. So for me to say, gosh, why am I not like them? God reminded me of my identity, and He is the only one that can do that. He also reminded me that don't feel like you are the only one and alone in something. So yes, you are made uniquely you, but that does not put you in this loneliness category and to feel shame and loneliness for the way that you are made. That is the enemy's work. Shame is his game, and we don't play that game. So I want to share my emotions to help others feel not alone, because I think a lot of women do feel that loneliness emotion. I know I'm not the only one who feels it. And actually, I'll definitely touch on this as I have a recent story to share on that feeling in particular, loneliness. You are never alone. God actually says, take courage, for I am with you. So taking courage leads to not feeling alone. So yes, that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to share all my feelings so you don't feel alone, so I don't feel alone, so we know that God is with us as we take this courage, this very courageous step in sharing our feelings with each other and being vulnerable, which leads to courage. And so that lonely episode is coming. You stay tuned for that. And I am just, again, so excited for where God's going to take this strategy. I know that it's going to bless someone. And if it's just one, awesome. I hope it's many. But God has this. He is in control. And I love when He gives us strategy on ways to use our gifts, talents, and abilities, to use our true identity in His kingdom and to use it for His kingdom. So thanks for coming along this ride. Please keep tuning in. Share this podcast with others that you think need to hear it. I really only get heard by others from you sharing. So either share or write a review. That is so helpful to me because that will help others who need to hear this truth to hear it. Okay, friends, thanks so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to chat next time. Hey, Wellness Warrior, I pray that blessed you. And if so, it would bless me big if you would write a 5-star review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Not only would this make me super happy, but it will allow for others to find this show too. Also, I love to chat over on Instagram, so make sure to take a screenshot, share to your Instagram stories, and tag me at the Shan Wright, so I can see it and we can keep chatting and bring other moms to chat with us. Until we get to chat again, mama friend, may the Lord's face shine upon you and give you peace.